This is a video that I'm doing real quick to kind of show you how I get my guitar tone and how to really record well. Um, record well, like how you decide what tone you should use to record. Because you can't just have something, play live and it sound good and then come straight into recording with that same tone. It doesn't work like that. You might get lucky and have a tone that works well with both, but most of the time you'll have to change it up every time you come into the recording. So I'm just going to show you how I kind of set it up, and there's obviously a lot more that I'm going to kind of brush over, so this isn't too long. And if there's any questions you guys post, then I will go into more detail about it later. So starting out, you got to pick which amp type you use. It's really up to personal preference at this point when you pick what kind of amp you use. I like amps that kind of have a natural scooped kind of sound, such as the Fireball. But I know like a lot of people like the California tread plate, which is the... Can't believe I forgot the name. Wow, that's embarrassing. Anyways, it's rectifier, dual rectifier, that's what it is, which is very popular for kind of... Well, the guitar is a mid instrument, so all the amps have a great mid-range kind of in it. When you scoop something out, you want to scoop out a lot of mid-range, because then you're taking out the sound of the guitar. The guitar is a mid-range instrument. But the California tread plate has a lot of highs, which people like for mixing and recording. Personally, I don't like it. Whenever I play chords, it sounds very thin, and I just like very full-sounding, really epic chords, which is why I like the Fireball, because it naturally has the scooped kind of feel to it without cutting out a lot of those mids, and there's not really much highs. So you click on the amp, unless you're using some other thing. You can use whatever you're using. I'm using the HD300 because I love it. It's really great. Let me start recording my audio so that you guys will be able to hear it when I upload it. Alright, so there we go. So start out, put everything at 12 o'clock because it just helps you get your bearings down and know what you're looking for. No effects, just straight amp. So let's see. You don't have to put your drive halfway down. That's you can put that wherever you want. This is just all of your EQ. Put up 50, resonance, all that shit. So you put all that 50, choose your amp cabinet mic, unless you're just using a straight effects pedal, then do what you do. And so kind of get a bass tone, which is not going to sound too great, but who knows. If you have something really, like a really great effect, it might sound great right out of the box right there. So what I like to do is, first thing, you want to adjust the amount of drive. That determines, pretty much the basic sound of your overall amp. But also, since right now we only have the amp put in, it sounds kind of floppy. Just not really that great, but you can get the overall kind of tone of the amp just from this. So what I'm going to want to do is you want to go ahead and set your EQ how you think you want it to be. Because a lot of the time you'll set an EQ for something and then be like, well, it works well with my other amp. For this one, it doesn't sound as good because every amp is different. It's a different range of the EQ for each amp. So you just kind of have to play with it and find what you like best for that amp. And this will probably take a while, but just keep playing with it. And, you might find a tone that you like, and then you go back to it later and be like, oh god, this tone's horrible. But just keep playing with it and you'll get it. So what I'm going to do is cut out a lot of the bass, because the way I record, I use a bass guitar to kind of fill in the bass that I cut out from my distortion. So it also makes it tighter sounding, so I like it. Alright, so I did that. Let's see. Let's add some extra mids in there. else you might notice is when you increase the drive, it'll also kind of boost the treble. So keep that in mind when you're EQing. If you boost the drive, compensate with how you adjust your treble and highs. So just something important. And so when you feel like you're in the kind of right range for your tone, this is when you're going to add any boost or overdrive kind of effects. So turn those on, select whatever you want. If you say you want to put a heavy distortion, put the output to 0. Put the output to max, drive to 0. Boost it with a different kind of sound. Go ahead, do what you do. I like a tube screamer, kind of like the Ibanez TS9 type thing. So what you're going to do for this, when you put a screamer in front, you're going to put the output all the way up, drive all the way down, and then you're going to just play through it. Don't really mess with any of the tone or anything yet. Keep those up. And then adjust these to however you like it. So if you start playing and you're like, well, it still sounds really thin, I wish I had more drive, or just like more boost, then you increase the drive. And if you're boosting the drive and you're like, well, I like that, but it's still too much, then back off on the output, and I should compensate well. Next, what you're going to do is these will help kind of fine-tune how it's boosted. So just play around with these, and if you feel like, well, it's boosting, but it's giving it a kind of like almost woof kind of sound, then decrease the bass. I don't generally mess with the treble on the tube screamer. I keep it all the way up just because I like how it sounds. But for the tone, try bringing it. Just try like the extremes with the tone. Put it all the way to 0. Put it in the middle, and then put it all the way to the right, and see which one you like more, and then adjust it from there. Like if say you like it better all the way to the right, at 100%, then slowly do it. Dial it back as you're playing. Also, when you're doing this, play a wide variety of stuff, just so that you get the whole feel of your distortion. Like if you only play power chords, then it might sound great for your power chords. When you try playing any kind of solo or just any bigger chords, you'll be like, oh, well, this isn't as good as I thought. So keep playing around with it. Play a wide variety of stuff. Everything that you would play. Now, don't start playing like blues or something if you don't play blues. Yeah, just keep it what you do. So I think that's good for now for what I'm going to do with pre-effects. So now we have a lot of stuff going on. So what we're going to do is we're going to add the gate. And so normally, if you have any kind of effects, you'll be able to choose where the gate goes. And with that, you're going to want to put it first. The first thing in there, you're going to put the gate in right after your guitar, because that cuts out where most of the noise is going to come from. And then you're going to want to put a gate behind every distortion, every type of distortion you add. So I'd put one behind the screamer and then one behind the amp, because then it cuts out the extra frequencies you don't want from each cause. Because when you distort something, obviously it's going to add those little weird distortions that you don't want. Duh. And so that's, since this is the Pod HD300, it's very limited with the gate. So you kind of only have one at the front, which is fine. Which is really all you need, but it's nice to be able to have multiple gates to fine-tune. So keep playing and move the threshold up or down until you can't hear any of them. So let the note ring out, and then wait till you hear that kind of harsh noise. There, right there. And so you just move the threshold up until it cuts out, and keep doing this. So you see out pretty much all that nasty little hiss that'll be annoying when you record. And so then take that and right where it cuts off, go like 3 decibels over. That way it makes sure to get everything, because if you just let it get a little bit, then it might jump over again when you play some, like you really start slamming, the guitar while playing. So that's it for the gate. And so really when you run a dry distortion, this is all I run. I don't really add anything else like a compression or anything. Mostly because I can't. With the 300, the compressors, all that fancy stuff is on the same thing as my screamer. So that kind of limits me what I can do there. But a lot of people like to add compression before their just amp distortion. So what you would do with that is you would take your gate, then you'd want to do compressor, and then screamer, and then amp. And you can always flip however you want, really. You can kind of just mess around and find what works best for you, but I know that's a popular way to do it, because you get your sound, you compress that sound, you get your straight sound, you get rid of all the extra weird idiosyncrasies you don't like with the gate, and then you put a compressor to compress that sound, the very clean, basic sound, and then send it through to your distortion units. And that's it. And then you just move that on through. So at this point, you're probably thinking, all right, so I got my tone. No, you have a tone that you could use. What you need to do now is you need to try recording something with this tone, and I'll get into that later with the later videos. This has already taken a pretty long time. And so what you're going to do is you're going to open up, Audacity, GarageBand, whatever it is you do. Sorry for the really small window. And then you're just going to try recording it, and then you're going to record like at a demo song with, dual tracking, quad tracking, whatever you do. Drums, probably not bass, because you'll want to hear only the guitar, so just add like some drums, or you don't even need drums, you just have a metronome. I like the drums, it helps me think of it as a recording situation. And so you listen to your tone there, and that's really when you'll find out, well, the tone has too much bass in it, or I wish it was a little more high-end in the tone. And then you can go back to your editor and be like, all right, so cut out the bass, add some treble, maybe some presence, and then there you go. You have your fine-tuned tone for recording. And so that's pretty much how I find my tone generally, is I do it this method. And so you keep just messing with it until you find your tone. And then I use the same tone live, because if it works well for recording, it should work well live. But every venue's different, so when you go to a venue, you want to sound check, adjust it in person there for how it will sound the best. Yeah, I think that's everything that I can show you guys today. I'll be hoping to do some more tutorial videos soon. I'm kind of busy because I got finals, so I don't know how that'll happen. But yeah, anyways, glad you guys could watch. And if you have any questions, like I didn't explain anything well, or you just want to say I suck, go ahead, put it down below. I'll be reading.